What's going on, guys? So I recently did a video on how to wiggle test your valves on with the heads on a car. It was a 2008 Corvette base model LS3 engine, and they were fine. But I went through the whole. It was like a 35-minute video. You can check it out on my channel. I went through the whole process of basically, from start to finish, how to do everything, how to take the springs off, just every step of the way. And this video, what I wanted to do was, so the wiggle test is not going to be an exact measurement. The way you get an exact measurement is to actually, what you do is you need to actually take the valves out. Now, in order to take the valves out, obviously the head has to be off the car. So if you're just doing a wiggle test, you're not going to take your heads off the car to do a wiggle test. But the purpose of this video is to see how accurate the wiggle test is versus an actual measurement by the half of a thousandth of the inch. How accurate the wiggle test is compared to an absolutely perfect, absolutely perfect way to measure valve to guide clearance. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to take these off and we're going to do a wiggle test with them on, and we're going to get our results. Whatever those results are, they are. And then what we're going to do is, so I have these, this is a inside bore gauge. I don't know the specific. I guess it's going to be a small inside micro bore gauge. I'm not sure. I got these off the Cornwall truck a couple of years ago, but you can probably get them on Amazon. You're going to need a caliber. This caliber or this style caliber is fine. You're going to need a spring compressor tool, and you're going to need a dial indicator as well. So basically the purpose of this video, now again, this was the video, I made the video because it was for, tailored towards the LS7 guys and the LS9 guys as well. But this can be for any head. I mean, you can take your head off any car, LS2, LS3, a Gen 5 motor, and, they could be out of spec. I mean, for a number of reasons. It could be production. It could be the way you maintained it. It could be if you installed a cam and you didn't, install the right valve train components. There's a number of reasons why things can be out of spec. But this video is going to be basically how accurate is the wiggle test to the actual scientific way to do it. For lack of a better term. And then basically, like, let's say I do a wiggle test here. I don't know what these are gonna, what the math is gonna come out to be. But let's say I do a wiggle test and I get 2 thousandths. Okay, 2 thousandths is acceptable. Once you get to like 3.5 to 4 thousandths, that's when you kind of want to probably pull the heads and get everything fixed up. But let's say I get like 2.5 thousandths on this one. Now I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna show you the way to get an absolute precise measurement. Let's say the 2.5 thousandths is a little bit under, and we get like 3.5 thousandths. So that's going to tell you that basically give you the information that, okay, the wiggle test is about 1/1000th of an inch off, give or take. Like, you're going to know that, okay, the wiggle test is like the lowest amount it could be. Vice versa, let's say I do the wiggle test and I get 3 thousandths here, and then I do the actual test and I get 2 thousandths. Then you're going to know, okay, if my valves are in if I do the wiggle test and my valves are in spec, it's either the worst case scenario is what I just got, or it could be a little bit lower. So it's definitely going to give us information on how much we can trust the wiggle test. And again, I'm going to go through the whole thing of, I'm going to do 2 valves, and you'll see how the video goes. So this should be pretty good. Okay, so real quick, just for anyone that doesn't know, the wiggle test. So the blue part is the valve guide. Sorry, the blue is the valve guide. The red is the valve stem. So basically, the measurement we're going to take is how much movement the valve has in between the valve guide right there. So the wiggle test is basically when you hook up a dial indicator here, and then you wiggle the red part, the valve, back and forth, and you get a measurement, whatever it is, 1, 2, 3 thousandths. Okay, so that's what we're going to measure here, but we're also going to take the valve out of the head, measure the valve stem, and we're going to also measure the valve guide of the cylinder head as well, and we're going to subtract those 2 values. So we're going to see how close the wiggle test comes from the actual, bulletproof way of getting an accurate reading. Okay, so I'm going to try to get you guys the best view on everything that I can. So the first thing we're going to want to do is, so I have this cylinder head just sitting right here. We're going to put some rags underneath the head, so the valves, something's holding up the valves. But first thing we're going to do is you have to have one of these. This is a valve spring compressor. So first I'm just going to, you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to, there we go. I'm actually, these heads are being, these are not LS7 LS3. I don't even know what heads these came off of. My friend's actually just paying me. He has some broken off studs. He's paying me to take those out, to run a thread chaser through them, maybe put a thread insert in them, go over the heads a little bit, measure the valve guides. He wants all the springs replaced. We'll probably lap the valves a little bit. But anyway, this is just a random head. I don't even know what this is off of. It's a small block. But anyway, that doesn't matter. So what we're going to do is I'm just right here. You can do this on the car. If you look at my other video, I'm just... There we go. Okay, that's just to free up the retainers. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set up our tool here. We have, show you how this is going. And what I did right there is I did not damage anything. We're replacing the valve springs and everything. So, all right, so we're going to install these bolts. These bolts are where the rocker arms would go. And I'll just get this set up, and then I'll just so you guys can see. Can you see? Yeah, you can see. All right. And then what we're going to do here is I'm going to snug everything up, but I'll just show you the setup. Is we take this tool right here, and we basically install it right here. And then we have a nut, and we're going to run the tool down. We're going to be able to pull off the keeper. So let me get this tool installed. I'll show you the process of doing this. Again, you can look at my other video. It shows that as well. And then what we'll do is we'll get this off. We'll do the wiggle test. I'll show you how to set everything up, and then yeah, we'll go from there. All right, so the setup I have here is I just have a Allen holding the top of this this nut or bolt. Just takes an Allen, so when you're spinning the nut down, it doesn't turn. But right now you can see we have it bottomed out, so we're going to remove our tool here, and then I just take you can take a magnet, but this little snap-on one, it like really gets in there. You remove the keepers, and they come out real easily. All right, and if you were doing it on the car, like I said, I have a video already that shows how to do this, but if you're doing it on the car, you would just have to have compressed air in the cylinder. Again, I have a video on how to do that. This video is, again, just to compare the wiggle test versus the actual precise measurement. But yeah, like I said, if you have any questions on how to do this on the car, refer to the other video. But now what we're going to do is we're just going to decompress the tool, and that'll sorry, I think I just hit the camera, and that'll bring this up. And then what I'll do is after I get this, is that camera angle good? Sorry for the shaky camera there. I'm going to try not to hit the camera again. What we'll do is we'll get the dial indicator set up. I have two different, I'm constantly hitting the camera. I'm not going to do it again. I have two different dial indicators. One is a clamp style, and the other one is a magnetic base style. I'm going to see which one works the best on this one. On the car, I like using the clamp one. It's just a little bit easier. And the magnetic base one is a little bit more cumbersome. And when you're dealing with kind of a tight area on the car, it's tough to get that to work. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll remove this. That looks good. And then we'll have our springs out, obviously, and then we can set up our dial indicator. And we can take a look at these valves. Oh man, those feel good. We might not find anything here. All right, we'll see. Okay, so here's our setup. I moved the heads over to the tool bench because the toolbox, because I wanted to use my magnetic stand here. But basically, you can see the dial indicator is right on this is the exhaust valve. It's just touching the tip of it right here. So we're ready to do our test. You want to make sure when you're doing this that this is nice and sturdy, that there's no flex in this, because if this moves, you want to make sure that everything is nice and stiff, and the only thing that's going to be moving is the valve touching the tip of the this part of the dial indicator. I mean, just a little bit of any kind of movement will make this needle jump around. So if you're on the car, I recommend using the vice grip style ones, the vice grip style dial indicator. That worked really well for me in my the previous video that I made. You can refer to that video. Pretty easy getting it. You know, it's not hard getting everything set up, but you want to make sure it's set up in a way that your reading is going to be correct, and you know, you don't want to get a false positive or negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zero this out. I'm going to get you guys a really good angle, and then we'll take measurements of our intake and exhaust. These both feel like, I'm going to say between, that feels like 2 thousandths to me. We'll see. Okay, so right now we're on the intake valve. The camera is picking that up. Let's see what we get on the intake valve. We get a 0.5 thousandths. Okay, that's good. That's yeah, that's definitely 0.5 thousandths. It's not a full thousandths, but yeah, it's right in the middle there. So, yep. All right, you could see that's a 0.5 thousandths on the intake valve. All right, perfect. Now to the exhaust. Okay, camera is good. So we're on the exhaust valve now, and on the exhaust valve we're getting, let's see, all right, we're getting about the same as the intake valve, about a 0.5 thousandths. Let me see here. Let me just make sure. Yeah, we're getting a 0.5 thousandths on the exhaust valve as well. A little bit of pressure. That's right there. Okay, so a 0.5 thousandths on the intake and the exhaust. It's just a little bit of pressure, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. Yeah, that's good. 0.5 thousandths on both. All right, perfect. Okay, so we had a 0.5 thousandths on both the intake and the exhaust. I double checked my work. I actually triple checked it, and it was the same every single time. It was a 0.5 thousandths. You guys could see in the video. It's tough for the video to pick up, exactly, how the needle was moving. I looked at the video, and it was pretty good, but it was definitely a 0.5 thousandths on both the intake and exhaust. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the valves out. We're going to measure the valves, the guides, and we're going to see how accurate is the wiggle test. Is it under? Is it over? Is it, is it accurate? Yeah, let's get some exact measurements and see, how close it is. All right, so we have, I have 2 micrometers out here. This one right here is probably going to be a little bit less accurate than the, zero this out. Okay, so let's see what our reading here is. This is the exhaust valve. Hold on, let me zero this out again. This one is, all right, there we go, zero it out. Let's see what we get. Okay, we're getting 0.313. All right, so 313 right there, 313 thousandths. Okay, so let's get rid of this one. Let's go to this one. I think this one's a little bit more precise. So we had 313 there. Let's see what we get on this one. I mean, it should be the same. I'm going to trust this one a little bit more. Is everything staying in focus? Yeah. All right, so let's tap this down. Let me just make sure that I'm getting right here in the middle. All right, that looks good. All right. And here we have, yeah, so that's identical. Let me just make sure this is good. So here we have, as you can see, 312,000. So we had 313 on the other one, 312 on this one. So, let's go with 312. This one's going to be a little bit more accurate than that one. That one's digital. This one is analog. This one's a little bit more accurate. All right, so we have 312 thousandths on the exhaust, and we are centered on the exhaust valve itself. So let me write that down, and then we'll measure the guide. So yeah, 312 thousandths. Okay, is that focusing? It is. Okay, so this is a inside bore gauge right here. So how it's going to work is when I twist this right here down, it's going to expand. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this into the exhaust valve guide, and we're going to wait until it just makes contact. You'll feel it. Not yet. A little bit less. All right, so right there, it's just making contact. Let me just make sure I have this right. Not contact. Not yet, not yet. And right there. All right, that's perfect. Okay, so this is our measurement right here. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the measurement of this. We're gonna subtract it from the measurement of the valve, and we're gonna see how close the wiggle test is to the actual, and this is, this is 100% the way you measure valve to valve guide clearance. I'm gonna run this through again and make sure it's good, but then we'll measure this and we'll see what we get. Okay, so we have our tool here all zeroed out, as you can see. All right, let's open it up. The camera is doing a good job. All right, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna try to do this. I'm gonna do this part off camera. Just, well, is the camera picking up on that? All right, hold on. Let me get this. Oh, you can see that good. Let me get this centered right here. All right, nice and gently. There we go. All right, so it's just sitting in there, and then so we're at. That's actually amazing. I just adjust this ever so slightly, and right there is touching, and as you can see right here, we're in between. That's actually amazing. We're in between 302 and 303 thousandths of an inch. It's 302.5. You could see that it's completely halfway in between 303 thousandths and 302 thousandths. That's 302.5. Again, I just did that live on the camera, and you can see right here, that's exactly what it is. So let's go take our measurement. We already know what it's going to be. Okay, so that was about as perfect as you can get. We measured 0.5 thousandths of an inch of with the wiggle test, and you guys saw that. I showed it to you on video, and then we took the valves out. We measured the valve guides and the valves. We subtracted the two, and we got 0.5 thousandths of an inch, which is exactly what we got on the wiggle test. So, there's definitely a lot of people out there that say the wiggle test is not going to give you accurate results and you have to take the heads off. Well, if you do the wiggle test the correct way, if you take your time and you're very precise with it, this will give you the same results as this, which is, using an inside bore gauge and a micrometer and measuring the valves and the guides, and you guys saw it all on video. So, it just shows you that if you do the wiggle test correctly and you're very precise with it, you will get the same exact reading. And I haven't seen a video like this on YouTube where it compares the wiggle test and actually taking the head off and doing the exact quote unquote scientific way of measuring it. These are not LS7 heads, but it doesn't matter. The same concept applies. So if you have an LS7 and you want to get your valves checked, the wiggle test is as long as you do it correctly, will get you very accurate results. If you have an LS7 and you want to get your valves checked and you want to bring it to me, shoot me a message. I'll be happy to do that for you. If you have an LS9, if you have any car, it doesn't matter. I can definitely, I charge a flat fee. I can definitely take a measurement for you and tell you where you're at. If the measurement comes out to be, too much, then we could take the heads off, send them out. I have a couple of vendors that I work with and we can get you taken care of. But yeah, I just thought this would be a really good video to make, and I'm very surprised at how accurate the wiggle test, how spot on the wiggle test was from the actual measurement test. It was dead on balls. This is, 0.5 thousandths of an inch, and so is this. So yeah, this is a great video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.